Day 139. 2 Samuel chapter 19, 20 and 21. David had just survived a painful rebellion led by his son Absalom. Although David won the battle, his heart was shattered because Absalom died. Instead of celebrating the victory that saved the nation, David locked himself in grief. The soldiers who fought bravely for him returned home ashamed and discouraged because their king ignored their sacrifice. Joab had to confront David directly. You love those who hate you and hate those who love you. This is such a human moment. Sometimes pain becomes so loud that we stop seeing the people still standing beside us. A parent may become so consumed by disappointment in one child that they ignore the other children trying their best. A business owner may become so focused on one failed contract that they stop appreciating loyal workers. A school leader may become overwhelmed by criticism and forget the teachers who are sacrificing daily. Grief is real, pain is real. But one unusual lesson here is that emotional pain should not completely silence responsibility. David's emotions were valid, but leadership still demanded presence. There are people who are emotionally absent while physically present. They are alive, but disconnected. A reminder that healing must eventually make room for responsibility. As David returned to Jerusalem, many people who abandoned him during Absalom's rebellion suddenly rushed back to welcome him. One of them was Shimei, the same man who cursed David publicly when David was fleeing. Do not let my lord hold me guilty. Now Shimei was apologizing because the political atmosphere had changed. This lesson is incredibly relevant today. Not everybody who returns to your life has changed. Some simply adjusted to your new season. When people think you are failing, they may insult you, avoid you or betray you. But once they see recovery, success or restoration, they return acting supportive. This happens in friendships, in family relationships, in business partnerships, even in churches. David showed mercy, but he also became wiser afterward. Forgiveness is powerful, but wisdom is necessary. One of the biggest mistakes people make today is confusing reconciliation with restored trust. Not every apology should automatically restore full access. Another touching story appears in Mephibosheth's encounter with David. Earlier, David believed Mephibosheth betrayed him because of lies told by Ziba. But when David returned, Mephibosheth appeared broken, unkempt and grieving. He explained that he had actually remained loyal all along. My lord the king is like an angel of God. Do therefore what seems good to you. What is unusual here is how quickly assumptions nearly destroyed a relationship. Many people today are fighting silent wars created by misunderstanding. A friend did not call and you assumed hatred. A worker looked unhappy, and you assumed disrespect. A spouse became quiet, and you assumed disloyalty. Social media has worsened this problem. People now create full stories in their minds without seeking truth. One painful assumption can damage years of loyalty. David eventually realized he acted too quickly. This chapter teaches us to pause before concluding. Not every silence is rebellion. Not every delay is betrayal. Not every rumor is truth. Sometimes people are fighting battles you cannot see. As David returned to power, conflict immediately broke out between the tribes of Israel and Judah. Everyone argued about who loved the king more, and who deserved greater recognition. We have 10 shares in the king. It sounds childish, but this is still how many adults behave today. People fight over recognition, more than purpose. Church departments compete. Families compete. Workers compete. Leaders compete. People want to be seen, praised, credited and prioritized. And before long, unnecessary division destroys unity. This small argument later opened the door for another rebellion led by Sheba soon after. Many major disasters begin with small ego battles. Homes break because nobody wants to apologize. Teams collapse because nobody wants another person to shine. Organizations suffer because leaders compete instead of collaborate. Peace often requires humility more than intelligence. Peace is expensive because pride is cheap. Delayed justice eventually creates national problems. In chapter 21, we suddenly learn that Israel was suffering famine for 3 years. David sought God concerning the issue, and the reason was shocking. The famine was connected to Saul's earlier violence against the Gibeonites. It is because of Saul and his blood-stained house. Unresolved injustice does not disappear with time. A dishonest action in one generation can damage another generation. Corruption ignored today becomes suffering tomorrow. Abuse covered up today becomes trauma tomorrow. Broken systems tolerated today become national crises later. Many people think time automatically heals everything. but some wounds remain active until truth and accountability are addressed. Even in personal life, unresolved wrongs often return later in unexpected ways. A child ignored emotionally may become an adult struggling silently. A toxic workplace culture eventually destroys productivity. A community that celebrates dishonesty eventually loses trust. God was showing Israel that hidden injustice still mattered. Problems buried are not always problems solved. While chaos spread across the nation, one wise woman quietly saved an entire city. She negotiated peace and stopped destruction before innocent people died. A wise woman called from the city. Notice something powerful here. She was unnamed, no title, no fame, no grand introduction. Yet her wisdom preserved lives. Today's world often celebrates loudness more than wisdom. People chase visibility, followers, applause, and online attention. But heaven still values wisdom, peacemaking, and quiet impact. Some of the greatest people in society are unnoticed individuals solving problems daily. A teacher encouraging children. A mother holding her family together. A counselor listening patiently. A worker serving faithfully without recognition. This woman reminds us that influence is not always noisy. Sometimes the people changing the world are the people nobody is posting about. A quiet loyalty is more valuable than loud attention. By chapter 21, David was older and physically weaker. During battle he became exhausted, and one of the enemy giants nearly killed him. His men rescued him and told him he could no longer keep fighting recklessly. David became exhausted. This may be one of the most relatable lessons of all. Even great people become tired. Leaders become tired. Parents become tired. Pastors become tired. Teachers become tired. Caregivers become tired. Modern culture glorifies endless hustle and non-stop pressure. People are praised for burnout, as though exhaustion is proof of importance. But the Bible openly shows David's weakness. That is refreshing. You do not have to pretend to be strong every day. Rest is not laziness. Wise support is not weakness. Delegation is not failure. David's men protected him, because even kings have limits. Some people are carrying burdens alone, simply because they are afraid of appearing weak. But strength without rest eventually becomes danger. The scripture whispers from today, in no particular order, are: do not let grief disconnect you from responsibility. Forgive wisely. Avoid dangerous assumptions, protect unity from pride. Address injustice before it grows. Value quiet wisdom. Accept your human limits. The Bible is powerful because it tells the truth about people. These were not perfect heroes living perfect lives. They were flawed people navigating pressure, heartbreak, leadership, relationships, and consequences, just like many people today. And maybe that is why these chapters still speak so loudly thousands of years later. Because human hearts have not changed that much.